Did you start this business at 13, or this is when you started business?
So I started business in general at 13. This business I started was when I was 17 actually. So I was kind of doing, like, I was basically just volunteering and learning the influencer and YouTube space for those 4 years, and then I launched this business in 17.
Well, what kind of got you into business at 13?
This
was 10 years ago when it's not as popular anymore.
Yeah. Obviously now, every 13-year-old wants to do online business. I see all those like short form reels of how I'm becoming a millionaire at 13 years old, living the life of a 13-year-old on with. Yeah, I love those videos. They're hilarious. What got me started was I was trying to be a YouTuber basically. So a bunch of my friends, we all used to play games basically, and some of us were like, oh, let's just start putting content on YouTube and seeing if we can, become a gaming YouTuber. So it was through that where I initially tried to be a YouTuber, and then I met a bunch of these guys online that I just through gaming, and then one guy one day came to the friend group and was like, oh, I found out about this business model that we can essentially, instead of being YouTubers ourselves, we partner with YouTubers and we help them make money. So that was very interesting to me because it was like, I'd never really able to get any YouTube channel off the ground. Like my biggest YouTube channel got to like 37,000 subscribers, which is pretty good for the age I was, and we had a few videos that had 1 million views, but it wasn't enough to really sustain or build like a career out of the time. And I just didn't think I had it in me to be like an entertainer at that point. Didn't have any like tech or equipment, and you didn't really need that back then, but just didn't really have it. And this was like very interesting because it was a way that I could still stay working with YouTubers and stay in the industry, but not make the content myself. So I was like, right, let me get into this space and learn this. So I basically just joined this guy's business. He launched the company. I was like, I'll just come and help you out with it. And we just kind of worked it out with a group of friends of like how this type of stuff worked. And then through that, just naturally got exposed to bigger YouTube-based businesses. I started like volunteering through them. I literally just worked like multiple different volunteer jobs for the first 3 years just to literally soak up experience and learn like how this industry worked.
Oh wow, the volunteer, I like that. It's so cool.
I made £2,000 in 3 years.
Really?
In my first 3 years, like 2,000 GB, which is nothing, like you can't even live off of that in a month in the UK.
And so why did you continue doing the volunteer work for that? Like, I mean, you didn't make any money, right? What was the main motivator? Were you curious to learn a lot about the industry? Was that the thing moving you forward?
It was like, I didn't really see it as work. I was just more of like, I just really enjoyed doing this stuff. And I was so young to the point where it was just more of a hobby at the time of, I come back from school, do my homework, and then I'm gonna be like online with these guys, and let me just learn and work. But I was also very interested to learn because for me, like, and what I always tell other people who are younger than me is like, oh, should I drop out? Should I do this? I always say like that 3 years of like just getting experience has been so valuable. Like obviously, I started my business at 17 and we saw pretty big success and I sold it, but I wouldn't have been able to have the success without just not going through those 3 years of not making any money and just learning and getting that experience. So it was a lot of that, just learn, get experience. Eventually I'll make money. Did I need money when I was 13 to 16? No, like I've come from a very privileged background. I've got 2 parents who were doctors, never had any issues, and I didn't need to make money at that point. So it was just more about getting that knowledge to ultimately pay long term.
I really like that because a lot of people, especially in the beginning with starting their business, tends to frown upon, not necessarily free trials, but like to a large degree, like you did that to get exposure to the market, right? Now you know what their pain points are like, and what does the market really need, and then you could have built a product around that, right? Like that is so valuable, and yet you didn't really get financial like compensation in that time, right? Which is a beautiful thing, and I really like that you followed your passion and curiosity in the beginning, and then you built a product out of that later down the line, which is amazing.
Yeah, because I think that if you do it that way, you'll generally not stop. Like if you're building something that you're genuinely interested and passionate about, a great example. I've got a friend who's got a small podcast back home in Scotland, and he still works his main full-time job. This podcast isn't enough to go full-time, but he just loves it, right? And he has so many people that have just given up because they can't monetize it. But if you truly love what you're doing, you will just continue on with it, and you'll find a way to make it work eventually. If you're doing something that you're not interested in, not passionate about, you hate, you're more likely to stop before you get there. And I think that the main thing for success is just enough consistency over time. Really, it's just doing something for long enough to get in the groove of things. Like there's so many people that stop and start different business models, like they'll try it for a month and they don't make any money, but you don't actually get the momentum. I didn't see momentum I went at something for 3 years. Maybe I wouldn't recommend going something for 3 years, but I went at it for 3 years, and then I saw success after a significant period of time.
So just when he said that, Scott Galloway?
Yeah.
So he's got this formula for wealth, which is focus plus, and then in brackets, stoicism times time times diversification.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I think to get rich, it's almost the same formula. It's rich equals focus plus, and then in brackets, stoicism times time.
Yeah.
I think that's basically it. Because diversification comes a bit later.
Yeah,
You had the focus.
Well, I think once you, I tried to diversify too early, and I actually found it to be negative to me because I had like split focus.
Exactly.
And I think split focus is way more dangerous when you're first starting up, because you distribute your time across 5-6 different things. You can never really get one to mean something. And I actually ran 2022, 2023, 5 businesses at once. I was doing my agency, I had a separate agency with other people, I had a property company, I had an info product business, I had a community, and like my main business, which I just sold, like it just plateaued for a bit because I was focused on some different things. So I think once you get to that point where you get rich, then you can diversify and multiply what you're doing.
I mean, that is something that everybody experiences, right? Like even Alex Mosi speaks about in the beginning of his also business, right? And I mean, we experience that as well. It's like we as entrepreneurs, we don't like leaving money on the table, right? We're very business oriented. So we see opportunity, but like this is so, and you almost have that. It's not necessarily the entire, what's that 4-step thing? It's like it's not necessarily that, but it's the delusional optimism? And then it's like, you don't really, but you see the guy doing drop shipping and it's like, okay, like this looks good. And then it's uninformed optimism. And then after about 2 months, then it becomes informed pessimism. Then it's like, okay, it's not that easy. You say, oh wait, my friend's doing crypto. This is cool. Let's do that. And so, the question needs to become like, you will always leave money on the table, right? But the question is, are you leaving that batch of money on the table for a potential bigger stack on the one table you're focusing on, right? Which should potentially be just the one business. So, I think we all go through that. Question I want to ask you is, if you're looking at someone sort of trying to figure out what business they need to pivot in or what niche they need to pick, would you recommend them, like what would you recommend they should look at? Like should they follow the curiosity, something they're interested in? What would be one thing you would...
Or as well, like, just like the market and not really care about curiosity, like which industry is growing, should I go there? What's like your take?
I think it depends on your timing in life to begin with, because I've given different advice on this over the years, and I've kind of based on what I thought. But I think your timing is very important. I think if you're young and you're at the point where you don't necessarily need to be making money super quickly, and it's more about I want to build around something that I'm interested in and do this for a sustained period of time, I think you should follow your passion and curiosity. I think if you're in a situation where you need to be looking at getting wealth quicker, let's say you're older, maybe you've decided, right, I'm not going to follow this path anymore, I'm now going to go all in myself. I think at that point, that's when you should be focusing on the market. I think you shouldn't obviously delve too far into your curiosity. There's no market for it, but you're never going to find that out unless you go down that path, right, and validate potentially what you're building, validate the product. But of course, like if you follow something that you're not interested in just because the market says it's great, you're probably not going to find success in it. So I think the timing in your life changes my opinion or my advice, but for me, like just in my stage right now as I'm young, I think because there are so many ways to make money in life that if you go down your path of curiosity and it doesn't work, it's not the end of the road for you anyway. Like you can just take a step back and then look at where the market's going, and then jump into something that is trending or something that is growing. Like I recommend people to get into influencer marketing right now, and that's part of the stuff I do on my YouTube channel purely because the market is going that way. But I also recommend it because it's a very cool industry to be in. Like people, and they want to work with people they watch, right? So you kind of get the both in a sense with the industry.
That's exactly what we're doing as well. We work with creators also.
And it's a cool thing to do. It's like, yes, it's like the market is going that way, and you're building with content, you're building with creators who can start monetizing, and we're building that creator economy, which is rapidly growing. But it's also something that people are very curious about, like how do creators make money,
want to get into.
So it's a great business model. I'm not like saying I want to start influencer marketing agency, but it's those type of things where potentially you get a bit of both, where there is a lot of and I think AI is another great example of that, where the market is going that way, but also it's something that people are very curious about understanding, and there's so many different applications that you can take it. Like you can, you can do it.
can integrate it
Every part of the process, right? So there are different areas that do cover both, in my opinion.
Yeah.